It's 9:40 p.m. September 1st. I'm Alex Jan. Do I need to say this again? I wasn't spoon-fed info. First of all, I got implanted. Didn't even know implantation was real. Didn't even know telepathy was real. So the first hurdle was I didn't even figure out implantation and telepathy was real. Then I had to figure out, if what they're telling me or not is I had to first figure out if I was psychotic because I was like, what the hell is going on? What are these voices I'm hearing? Are they my neighbors? Are they a backwards tap on my phone? I'm hearing a backwards tap or something. Is it this frequency interference I called some sound guy about? Then I had to start wondering, well, what the hell is going on? Then I had to eventually just figure out. Then I started reading articles and all sorts of jazz. But eventually I figured out it was telepathy and implantation. I was like, well, what the fuck's going on? And then I was wondering, why the fuck do I got a device in my brain? How the hell did I get implanted? Kind of jazz. And then eventually I had to figure out what they were saying was real. So I wasn't spoon fed information. And then if you actually look at my documents, you'll see how the information flows. Let me put it this way, it doesn't flow in order. And part of the way I was getting information, I'd hear people fighting and blackmailing each other. And I'd pick up on that and I'd wonder what the fuck's going on because I had no background information. I was like, what is all this fighting about? I'd hear people threaten me and I'd be like, what are they threatening me about? Why are they threatening me for ideas? Why are they threatening me for this? Why are they threatening me for that? And I kept wondering. Didn't make sense because I had no background information. And I just kept listening and hearing stuff throughout the day because I couldn't walk away from it because I have a device in my brain and would just hear random shit all day and had literally no clue what was going on. Then I started just analyzing stuff and these people started threatening to frame me, harm me, this and that. And then I was like, maybe I should log this. And then basically over 5 years and 6 months, I was putting stuff together. I made my first longest DOJ letter in 2019. Putting stuff together and based off of stuff they'd ask me, based off of stuff they'd threaten me about, based off of stuff they'd try to frame me about, based off of things I'd overhear them blackmailing each other for, based off of ideas they were claiming and trying to threaten me for, based off of med school notes they were trying to threaten me for, and I was slowly putting stuff together little by little. If you actually see the evolution of my information to law enforcement from the very first letters, it first started with just being hacked and just telling them weird shit that kept going on. And problems with my AT&T modem and people stealing my med school notes and this and that. I didn't know what to report. And then, regardless of that, information just kept flowing. And it was all out of order. It was tidbits of information and weird scenarios and this and that just didn't make sense. And little by little, information would flow, but it didn't fit because I had no background. And then I started putting more and more together. And then, like, stuff I was told in, like, 2018 would fit together in 2019. And then I'd put stuff together. Then stuff in like 2019 may have started to make sense in 2021. So these things would slowly start clicking. It was all sorts of data flowing through my brain over 12 to 17 hours a day for now 5 years and 6 months. And still stuff even still starts to click sometimes. Granted, the information slowed substantially now. But I had no background information. I didn't even know to even log anything. No one even told me to log anything. I didn't even know what was going on. No one told me to do shit. I just started logging and analyzing, and then it just kept reporting to law enforcement about stolen property and all sorts of random jazz. But yeah, it was definitely not spoon-fed, and I sat in a fucking room for 5 years and 6 months just hearing this shit, wondering what the fuck's going on. What the hell's going on? And and these kids weren't even, I wasn't even supposed to, they didn't even told me to write anything. I just wrote this letter, and then they tried to turn it into an investigation event and tried to lie it was a movie script. Tried to lie it was for some game when it wasn't. That was their way of trying to cover up the terrorist plot and trying to stop law enforcement from reading it. So that's another piece of this. Yeah, it had nothing to do with any bet. Had nothing to do with any movie. Had nothing to do with any game. It had to do with what I was a victim of and people trying to steal from me and steal stuff involving my life and all sorts of jazz. But yeah, anyone saying it was spoon-fed is full of shit. I sat there and analyzed. I was the one, in a sense, spoon-feeding other people. I was giving people key searches to do, key analysis, key information I analyzed over like 5 years and 6 months, the 116 key components of their terrorist agendas, having to sift through 12 to 17 hours a day worth of information and picking out what may be real and what may be not, while people were trying to discredit me, make me look psychotic by telling me stuff that wasn't real, while also trying to manipulate bets and trying to make me look psychotic for discrediting bets and all sorts of jazz. You try to pick out truth in 12 to 17 hours worth of data of some truth and a shit ton of bullshit, and see how well you do. And then there's also people turning information on and off as convenient to slow me down and prevent me from figuring stuff out. So I didn't even have all the pieces, and I had to put it together and analyze. And then I also had to analyze all this weapons and technology I was a victim of, and then analyze what they were using it for, what they may have used it for in the past, what they were using it for in the present, and what they conspired to use it for in the future. Not to mention, people even tried to recruit me to a terrorist plot and tell me that you to go get trained and blah, blah, blah. And they wanted to implant people around the world, control the world with information and blackmail. I was like, you're fucking crazy. And then not to mention try logging this information while people are stalking your computer, watching what you type to law enforcement through your eyes, stalking your telepathy, and tipping off people that you're writing to law enforcement and what you're writing to law enforcement to try to course murder and crime on you while you're doing it, and hacking your screen, and then actually committing crimes on you while you're writing to law enforcement, and also doing new age neurosurgeries on you to try to make you forget information while you're still working on your documents and writing information, and attempting murder on you in the process and committing severe crimes. You think it was spoon-fed? Nah, it wasn't easy at all, and was not spoon-fed to me at all. And you try to analyze and put information together while people are damaging your brain while you're still doing that and trying to take care of this information and analyze it. Oh, not to mention also putting devices in your brain for covert witness tampering that impair processing, analysis, and memory. You try doing writing 5 years and 6 months worth of information and logging it 12 to 17 hours a day, key information, while people are damaging your brain in the process, shocking your heart, your brain, your genitals, and attempting murder on you. And then also while you're writing to law enforcement, they're tipping terrorists off about who are your suspects and who you're writing to and trying to course crime and murder on you. And then even opening bets while you're writing to law enforcement to let terrorists involved with this organization see what you're writing to law enforcement. And then having to tip them off and write to law enforcement while they're pulling all these hustles. Like when I'm writing to law enforcement, they're writing letters to them, supposedly telling them I'm psychotic so they don't read it. Then I have to tip them off about these terrorist weird tactics they utilize. Yeah, it was more than it wasn't spoon-fed to me at all. There was all so many things I had to do with your mind would be blown. It was a headache every second of the fucking day, and it still is a headache even today. I could tell you a lot more, but that's just a piece of it. So anyone telling you that's a fucking liar. And then also, like I said, all these guys telling you they gave me the information. They're basically, so ask them, so you're saying telepathy and implantation are real? Because that's the only way I was getting information, that and then analyzing all this data out of order over 5 years and 6 months, analyzing the technology and the weapons I was a victim of. And then ask him, so you're telling me the technology and weapons he's speaking of are real? Because that's how he was acquiring information and analyzing this tech he was a victim of as well. So ask him that too. So they're admitting to implantation and telepathy being real. Because that's the only way I got information. So if they gave me info, that's saying they know telepathy is real and implantation is real. Because you guys stalk my computer screen every day. I'm the guy who makes all the ideas. You don't see me receiving any letters about any information. You see every one of my emails. I've never received any emails full of information. So all I hear is via telepathy. Some of you guys even stalk me with your surveillance. You see me sitting in my room hearing something, and all of a sudden I go to my computer and type something in. And then sometimes I sit there and hear it and then analyze it further. So what else are they pulling? But yeah, you try to write information in letters while people are bombarding your brain with telepathy, using weaponized telepathy, damaging your brain with new age neurosurgeries, and putting implantable devices in your brain to disrupt memory processing, analysis, etc., etc. While also tipping off terrorists that you're tipping off law enforcement about severe crimes, RICO, terrorism, and more. And that's not even the tip of the iceberg. That's just a piece of it. And then actually being able to pick out information through 12 to 17 hours of data a day and trying to pick out what's real and what's not when you have no background, no proof, nothing. And talking to law enforcement about telepathy and trying to first prove you're not fucking psychotic. That's another piece of it. You got to prove that you're not psychotic and this technology is real. That's a whole other issue. Trying to prove to law enforcement that implantation is real and telepathy is real and that you're not psychotic. You try doing that. Try to prove the whole world, everyone, like when there's less than 0.001% of the world's global population who knows about this tech. Try proving to everyone you're not psychotic and that this technology is real, and then tell me how easy it is. Not as easy as you think, especially with no proof of it other than the device in your brain that no one will come and try to use some sort of imaging to see if it's real, or no one will do any tests and come talk to you and see and watch what you're experiencing, or give you some devices to try to capture radio waves or whatever invisible communications are coming at you via telepathy. You try that. And there's so much more I could explain, but spoon-fed my ass. Whoever said that is a fucking liar and zero credibility. Quit listening to those guys. And whoever these guys are who claim they wrote my letter, they didn't write shit. They're fucking crazy. Yeah, ask them what these guys do. They have, keep in mind, I'm being watched by some of the terrorists. There's a device in my brain, and there's terrorist evildoers who are involved in this terrorist organization who actually are tipping people off involved in terrorism while I'm writing to law enforcement. If you haven't put that together. So you try to write letters to law enfortement and fear your life while there's terrorists holding you hostage, tipping terrorists off. and pivoting in real time and doing tactics in real time, while also trying to discredit you to law enforcement in real time and peddling videos of you acting psychotic while you're writing to law enforcement and trying to prove to them these guys are manufacturing this and that. If you read my methods of analysis, you'll see some of the nonsense I'm dealing with. Not to mention, while you're also writing to law enforcement, motherfuckers are sitting around trying to frame you all day at the same time while trying to murder you, shock your brain, shock your heart, shock your genitals. That's also going on. It wasn't easy at all. One day I'm going to analyze everything, and then you'll be able to. If you read my documents, you'll see all the stuff I deal with daily. People trying to frame me all day, fire images in my brain. Oh, we saw it in his mind. Oh, I'll steal his property. Blah blah blah. Oh, he did X, Y, and Z. Let's kill him. Yeah, that goes on all day. This kind of jazz. So what the hell are these guys talking about? These people wouldn't even be able to handle what I've been dealing with for 5 years and 6 months, is my theory. They'd probably be crying. They would probably be scared and wouldn't even write. Is my theory. Like, holy shit, someone's shocking my heart. Yeah, I'm never writing again, maybe. So yeah, it's not really fun to write letters when people are shocking your heart and no one's arresting people, shocking your heart and performing witness tampering daily for 5 years and 6 months and also tipping off terrorists while you're writing to law enforcement. Yeah, that's another piece of this. Let's not forget that. And then there's people actually purposely trying to hinder you from reporting things that threaten humanity by trying to make you look psychotic and trying to discredit you by giving you misinformation. Yeah, you try dealing with that. And that's not even the tip of the iceberg. I mean, I could think about it more. But yeah, try proving to the world about that technology exists that less than 0.001% of the population knows about. Try proving to the world or explaining to the world that something called implantation and synthetic telepathy exist, where no one knows it's real, no one believes it. And you got to some way convince the press, convince law enforcement, convince the president this shit exists. Try doing that. Not easy at all. Not to mention satellite WMDs in space. Try convincing people that shit's real. There is a reason Space Force was created. Keep that in mind. It could be because someone actually picked up on what I was saying. Thank God. So let's keep that in mind. Because I was bitching to Donald Trump on Twitter in like 2019. But yeah, I could tell you much more, but I'm too lazy. They're even using tech on my brain right now while I'm explaining key stuff. But yeah, whoever this guy saying he was spoon-fed, no, I wasn't. I was giving information out of order. Then having to analyze weird occurrences in my life since 2009 and putting weird pieces of these weird interactions with people and weird observations, as well as putting this weird data together out of order with and fitting it together with weird occurrences that occurred in my life. For instance, like in Brooklyn Hospital, Brooklyn Methodist, one day, some doctor tried to race me to saying a diabetic gastroparesis diagnosis. And I was like, this is the weirdest thing in the world. Why did this guy try to race me? And then he was like, oh, I beat you. I said it before. You didn't get the diagnosis. And I was like, all right. And I was like, well, that was weird. And then I walk out of the GI suite, and then some guy is like, did he say it out loud? To one of the doctors. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Is he talking about my diagnosis? I was weirded out by it. Didn't make sense. Then years later, I found out, one, I was a betting mule, so maybe there was a bet. And then that didn't click till like 2020 or something, or 20. I didn't even think about it because it didn't make sense when I was figuring out there was betting in 2018 or 2019. So that didn't even make sense until like 2020. And then one day I had a recollection. Maybe he was talking about this. Did he say it out loud thing? Maybe these guys were implanted and didn't know it, and they're looking for an audio bug. So that didn't click till 2020, 2021. I don't know when it clicked exactly, but I logged in my DOJ letter. But that's the type of shit. So there's stuff that was happening in 2016 that made zero sense. And then later in 2020, 2021, it all of a sudden made sense. The did he say it out loud thing, and then the I won that bet. He didn't say the diagnosis or whatever. He didn't say that. He said, I said the diagnosis before you. He didn't say bet. And I was like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But now my theory is there was a bet. And there's something about that too. Some of these telepathy people discuss. I could be wrong, but they said something because I brought it up once and they made a big deal about it. But or another thing in 2017 when I was at the Lifetime in Dallas, and I was like doing reverse flies, and some guy said, "Oh, I won that bet. He doesn't have a 100% perfect form." And I was like, "What the fuck is this guy talking about?" And I even asked Corona. I was like, "Yo, are people betting on me or something? What the fuck's going on?" And he was like, "You're the horse I'm betting on." I was sitting here looking at this guy, and then I think I tried to implore further, but he somehow dodged. But that didn't make sense. Didn't know what was going on. Then slowly, as I was getting more and more information, pieces of puzzles were coming together. So yeah, those are the weird types of occurrences that have been occurring in my life. What else has been going on? I can't even think of anything right now, but let me put it this way. If you were dealing with what I was dealing with, you probably wouldn't even be able to put it together You may not even write to law enforcement. Oh, not to mention, then when I'm writing to law enforcement, some of these guys are actually threatened by my letters because maybe they're implantation investors or involved with telepathy investments or theft of money and property that is mine. And they were actually committing political abuses of psychiatry on me for reporting things that threaten humanity. Oh, and some of them were also stealing my IP, is what I'm finding out. And they were committing political abuses of psychiatry for actually trying to help save my life, save my family's life, and save humanity from terrorist and new age mind slavery practitioners trying to rid mankind of their free will. Oh, and at the same time, then they're also trying to do human programming experiments on me at the same time and make me question my reality and much more. Try analyzing 12 to 17 hours of data a day, 5 to 6 for 5 years and 6 months with all of that going on at once. People trying to kill you, bet on you, human program you, sexually assault you covertly, kill you, put holes in your brain, damage your brain, run highly illegal, unethical, inhumane human experiments on you with all sorts of weird implantable devices, human programming, etc., etc. Try dealing with that. Your mind would be blown. It's still mine is still blown, and I'm still trying to get these guys behind bars, and they're still not in prison. Key point. So that's not even the tip of the iceberg.